Hello and welcome, everyone. We'll get started here soon. See, we have people joining in. Glad you're with us. Want to welcome you in. So far, we have a little chatter on Facebook. I see we also have folks on YouTube. No friendly chatter on YouTube just yet. Glad to have all of you. Anyone here for a second time who's attended a workshop in the past, or we have all first timers? Got about 8 minutes till we get started, so if you need something to drink, glass of water, tea, coffee, if you can handle coffee this late in the day. I'd say a bottle of wine, but that could get dangerous. We got important things to talk about, so go light. Okay, we got a first timer. All right, cool. A lot of first timers. I mean, typically most people who are here are seeing it for the first time, but every so often we see people show up for multiple events. Glad to have all of you. Just want to make sure my YouTubers can hear me. If you're in YouTube, I see that nobody is chatting in from YouTube just yet, but if you are on YouTube and you can hear me and you just put something into the chat, that'd be great. Our Facebook crowd is quite talkative today. Occasionally, I'll give you some heads up. From time to time, we do have a little bit of issues tech-wise with our streams to Facebook. We haven't had okay, Rachel on YouTube says they got their bowls of ice cream, so great. No sugar comas. Get a cup of coffee too. Just kidding. All right, good. Good, all right. Great. Thank you, YouTube. Occasionally we'll have some tech issues. So that original link that you got in text message, that website where you selected probably Facebook or YouTube, if there's ever any issue at all during the presentation, please understand that you can simply switch over to YouTube or Facebook and either one will work just fine. Of late, we have had a little bit of problems on Facebook. Hopefully Facebook has worked out their tech. But no guarantees, right? So if you have any problems at all, just know that you can switch over to YouTube and you'll be just fine. Pick up right where we are at. All right, someone's got some ginger tea. Now there we go. Now that's a person who wants to stay awake for my workshop. Great job with the ginger tea. The ice cream, I don't know. But it depends, I guess, how slowly you eat. You keep a nice sugar level going all the way through. But I don't know, can you eat ice cream slowly? I'm not sure that's a thing. As is typical, we have people from all over the country. Looks like California. Little sweet tea, Sharon says on Facebook. All right, cool. So I'm just going to do something here so you guys can see. We got the ginger tea, some sweet tea. So this is how we'll do our Q&A time. We do have a Q&A portion, and we're going to get started in about 5 minutes, so just hang tight. We're going to get started in 5 minutes. But I can highlight your comments like that. So we'll have a Q&A portion at the end of the workshop. So you can type we'll pull out our bowl of ice cream, folks. It's great. And you can see that I can highlight it like that. And I'll answer questions at the end of the presentation. Yeah, we got people from all over, Arizona, Pennsylvania, Ohio. Cool. Yep. I think we have now had people in all 50 states. Hawaii, Alaska even. Got Arizona. Okay, great, cool. Yep, see, just like that. Thank you, Sherry. Again, we're going to get started here in about 3 minutes. If you're just joining us, I know we had a big group of people just now join in. So get your drink, a glass of water, your cup of tea, your coffee, if you can handle it. And we'll get going here soon. As I always say, I enjoy a glass of wine as much as anybody, but maybe go light until we get to the end of the presentation. Otherwise, while we won't hear your question be funny, you might type it funny. We also don't want you to fall asleep during the presentation. I hope that doesn't happen, but you never know. Yeah, we got people all over. New Jersey, Minnesota, Maryland, Ohio. Wait, MA. Is MA Maryland or Massachusetts? That's Massachusetts, right? Maryland is MD, Mass. I'm getting better as we have had lots of attendees from all over the places to the abbreviations that aren't quite so obvious. Steve encourages everyone, he's been quite chatty, to go big or go home. I see you do that with the beard there, Steve. Is that your beard? Is that how it looks right now? So with that, I think we should all take you at your word, because that is a beard that says, go big or go home. That's good. Tennessee, Delaware. Yeah, great. Yeah, people from all over. Okay, we're going to start here in about 2 minutes. So last call, run to the restroom. Go to get your favorite beverage. Enjoy that. Maybe not your favorite beverage, depending. Maybe your second favorite beverage, or water is good. Get your pad of paper, your pencil, your pen, whatever you want to do if you want to take some notes. Oh, Steve trimmed his beard. Bummer. All right, Steve. Well, you can always grow it back. You can always go big. I guess you're home, so you went home instead. I guess that's how it works. Okay, about a minute till we get rolling with things. Yeah, great. Good to see where everyone's from. Fantastic stuff. I asked earlier, a bunch of first-timers. Anybody here for a second time? Every so often I recognize somebody's name and I go, hey, I think I've answered a question for you before. Maybe they just show up at the end because they know they can ask questions at the end. That's always a possibility. All right, great. Well, I got all set up here, and I didn't... What did I do with my clicker? I think my clicker's in my office. I'm going to run to that because we're supposed to start right now. Don't go anywhere. I'll be... Okay, we got the clicker. We're all set. Let's get cruising. Welcome everyone to an Einstein Retirement Workshops presentation of our very most favorite topic, Social Security filing strategies. I don't know if it's our most favorite topic, but it is a topic that we do a lot of. We think it's your favorite topic. As you can tell, I have run and I don't run enough because running to my office to get this lovely clicker, and then running back. Got a little winded there. How embarrassing. Okay, let's keep cruising along. So Eyesight Retirement Workshops is a national organization. We do workshops, as many of you have seen from the comments. We have people all over the country, and we're an educational group that focuses on topics and things that we know will be important to you as a group of folks who are getting close to or already in retirement. When it comes to this presentation, our agenda looks like this. We will spend just over an hour on the topic of Social Security. I'll try to keep it right at an hour if I can pull that off. But Social Security law is 3,600 pages, so I'll do my best, okay? We're not going to cover all 3,600, but there's a lot to cover with Social Security. And we want to cover as many things that are as meaningful to as many of you as we can pull off in our time together. Okay, at the end of the presentation, we will make available to you a copy of our Social Security filing workbook, and we will talk about how you can get access to that and request a copy of that workbook, and we'll make sure to get that to you. Also, at the end of the presentation, we will go right into a question and answer session. If you didn't hear earlier or you were not there before, you can I can tap your comments here, and we will do that for the Q&A. So at the end of the presentation, you want to type in your questions. I will tap on them and we'll answer questions again right at the end of the presentation. Again, doesn't matter whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, I can do that. If you have any connection issues at all during the presentation, as wonderful as our technology is in this day and age, it does have hiccups from time to time. So just know that if you have any problems at all, if you're on Facebook and you have a problem, you can switch over to YouTube and you should be good. If you're on YouTube, this is less likely, but if you're on YouTube and there's a problem, you can switch over to Facebook. Generally, YouTube has been our more consistent one, so our Facebookers, you're kind of pre-warned that if you have a problem, just switch over to Facebook and you should be, or the reverse of that. If you're on Facebook, you can switch over to YouTube and you should be good to go, okay? So that's our little tech disclosure there. My name's Kyle McCauley. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background so that you have an understanding of my focus and my thought process when I do this presentation. So I am the managing partner of City Center Financial. I'm also a chartered retirement planning counselor, an accredited portfolio management advisor, and then I and any member of our team is going to be a National Social Security Advisor certified professional. So number one, an NSSA is super important when you're talking about Social Security benefits and the massive amount of laws that are tied to those benefits. It's not something you can like accidentally become an expert in. It is something that is not intuitive. It doesn't necessarily make sense all the time. And so you need to have an ongoing education and training around this, and the National Social Security Association, which certifies and credentials advisors with this certificate, is a very important and key component. Okay, secondarily, as the managing partner of a retirement planning firm, when I do this presentation, my focus, my thought process, the thing that I am thinking about is many clients, just like similar circumstances I'm sure to many of you, that are making these decisions. And so I think you'll find this presentation to be very pragmatic and practical, something that you'll be able to take some takeaways and be very useful to you. We are in no way employed by, nor are we affiliated with the Social Security Administration. The point of the presentation today is to give you advice, not to sign you up for benefits. We are able to give advice in the areas of finance, whether that's retirement planning, investment planning, Social Security strategies, coordinating those. All of those things we're allowed to provide that advice because of our registered investment advisory firm, City Center Advisors. As a registered investment advisory, I should say also that that does make us a fiduciary, and when we are giving advice, we are responsible for making sure that that advice is taking into account your best interest. And so, again, in this presentation, I will be talking about a lot of, big picture ideas. Understand, of course, that for a specific advice component to you, it would require that I know very specifically things about your situation. So when we get into the Q&A and as we go through the presentation, oftentimes you'll hear my answer saying, here are the things you want to think about to give you the specific recommendation. I might need to know this and this, okay? And so that's kind of the approach there. But I know that will be helpful to you. We've gotten positive feedback about that. Okay, why is Social Security such a hot topic? Well, every day, a lot of people are turning 65, which means they're qualifying for Medicare. They've been qualified for Social Security, but they're getting to these ages that people are commonly filing for Social Security benefits. About 3.64 million new people are qualifying for Social Security every single year, and that's still slated to continue for another 13 years. So what that means is that these are people who were used to working and paying payroll taxes into this system, who are now retiring and actually pulling dollars out of the system. So obviously, we have concerns, right? What happens in the unfortunate event that we actually run out of money, right? Because this is a problem. We have a lot of people claiming benefits who used to be working and paying into the system. Well, insolvency is an issue, and we'll talk about that, but maybe you shouldn't be as concerned as some of you are. Okay, today, 65% of middle-income Americans are deriving more than 50% of their retirement income from their Social Security benefits. It would be easy to say, well, okay, sure, so if I haven't saved a lot of other money or I don't have much income, then sure, my Social Security will do that. But what about those of you who have saved more dollars? For many of you, that is also going to be true. It is not uncommon for us to see folks with $40, $50, $60, $70, sometimes as much as $80,000 between two benefits. So if you're married, between the two of you, maybe you have as much as $80,000 a year available from your benefits. For many folks, that covers a good chunk of their retirement income need. Now, many of you are going to see combined benefits in that $50,000 to $70,000 range, but we do see it that high in that $80,000 plus. Since 1985, corporations have been eliminating pension benefits, freezing them, cutting benefits after they've started. Unfortunately, we have seen that, and so that has enhanced the need for these Social Security dollars. Also, today, 46% of Americans pass away with less than $10,000 to their name. We bring up this last statistic not to frighten you, but to highlight one of the key features of Social Security. You see, you insure all the important things in your life. You insure your house, your car, your health, at least we assume that you do for all those things, and typically you would. But do you insure your retirement? For most of you, the answer is yes. Social Security, when framed in properly to your overall retirement plan, the way that we would encourage you to think about this is as retirement income insurance, or you could say longevity insurance. The reason for that is because these are dollars that are going to pay to you no matter how long you live. So even that person passing away with $10,000 to their name, so long as they are still alive and they have a Social Security benefit, they are receiving those income dollars so long as they still live. That can be pretty important these days because people do have a longer life expectancy often than they imagine. Married couple, age 65, gentlemen, you have a 50% chance of making it to 92. That's your life expectancy. Ladies, you have a 50% chance of living to 97. People are living much longer than expected. Medical technology is pretty incredible. We see it as a mixed bag as far as people taking care of their health, obviously, okay? So that's where the stats get adjusted. But my grandfather's a great example of this, okay? Here's a guy who had 4 heart attacks and 3 bypass surgeries by the time he reached the age of 75. Yet he lived to 92. He passed away last year in December. Not COVID, just old age. But if you'd have asked him at 80, hey, granddaddy, think you make it to 90? He'd have smiled and said, I don't think so. So people live much longer than expected. I don't know if you can live as long as this gal, Miss Kane Tanaka, 118 years of age. She is from Japan. Interestingly, of the last 5 oldest living people, The 4 of them were from Japan. So if you're thinking about relocating, maybe you would like to consider. Let's talk about some basics of how your benefits work. That's up next. After that, we're going to talk about strategies for married couples, some things you should attend to. We'll talk about options that divorced people have, options for those of you who are widowed, and then also we'll talk about taxes. We'll wrap it up with taxes. So if you fall asleep somewhere in the middle, please do wake up in time for taxes. I can tell you our organization has now helped thousands of people just make decisions about how they file their benefits. If there is one single item that is not anticipated, although we anticipate it now, but maybe when we first started doing this, we were a little surprised, but we weren't expecting it to change the Social Security filing strategy that we were recommending. It's taxes. Taxes is a very big deal when it comes to how it affects your benefits and when the best and most optimal way for you to file. And we'll talk about that. I want to make sure that we have a good amount of time for that. So stay tuned. Basics of how your Social Security works. How's it calculated? Number 1, in order to qualify for a benefit, you need to have 40 credits. 40 credits works out to roughly 10 years worth of work. Not roughly, exactly 10 years worth of work. But to earn a credit, you earn 1 per calendar quarter. You need to have substantial earnings, not that substantial. $1,470 earned in a calendar quarter will give you 1 credit. You can earn up to 4 credits per year. And so 40 credits divided by the 4 per year works out to 10 years worth of work. If you're not sure if you have that, it's really easy to find out now. You just log into Social Security, ssa.gov. If you don't already have a portal, I recommend that you get one. But on that website, what you can do is you can log in and you can see green check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark, all 40 if you have a benefit, and you'll get a big one at the end, and it's exciting. You have a Social Security benefit. Once you have qualified for a benefit, the way your benefit is calculated is by using the highest 35 years of indexed earnings. Few things. Number 1, it's not the most recent 35 years. It's not the most consecutive 35 years. It's the highest 35 years no matter when they occurred. You could have 20 years of work, take 5 years off, have another 15, 20 plus 15, you got your 35. No problem, okay? It's the highest 35 years no matter when they occurred. But it's not of actual dollars earned. It's of your dollars earned after they've been indexed for inflation. Think about your Social Security statement. They've gone all electronic now, green friendly, all that stuff. So you may have not seen a statement for a while, but if you can imagine or remember what a Social Security statement looked like, you had the front page with a nice big bold number at the top. Your next page was like, if you file at this age or this age or this age, and it gives you your benefits. And then on page 3, what you would see is an earnings history table. That earnings history table are the actual dollars that you earned in those specific years. And more specifically, it's the actual dollars that you paid Social Security tax on. So when you want to know how those dollars are used when they're indexed now to equal today's dollars, what you would need to do is take those dollars earned and put them into an indexing table. Now, in your workbook that we are going to get to you, there are indexing tables. Those indexing tables would allow you to take those dollars earned, put them into that indexing table, and it'll tell you what to multiply it by to equal today's value. For example, in the year 1980, if you had an income of $20,000, the equivalent in today's dollars is a little more than $80,000 because the multiplier is 4 and change. So you would put 20,000, you'd see multiplied by 4 and change, and so that would give you more than $80,000 of income if you earned $20,000 in 1980. So Social Security, when they calculate your benefit, is using the $80,000 number, not the $20,000 number. Okay? Now, the thing about that is some people mistakenly assume that just because they continue to work, they are necessarily increasing their benefit for the future. Not necessarily. you need to actually replace a lower income year in the past in order to increase your benefit for the future. So if my lowest income year is $20,000 in 1980 and I'm earning $60,000 today, that $60,000 is not worth more than the $20,000 in 1980 because that $20,000 is actually worth $80,000. Okay, I know it's a big mouthful. I hope I allowed that to make sense. But you have to make more than in the past after it's been increased for inflation in order for your work today to increase your benefit. Now, your work today is not decreasing your benefit, but it may not be increasing it. Okay? Second thing is, what if I don't have all 35 years? What if I only have 25 years? Well, the way this will work is that they will take the 25 years of work and then they will index those for inflation, and then they will add 10 zeros when they calculate your benefit. So what that means is that any additional work that you're doing today is replacing a zero and should have a good size impact for increasing your benefit in the future. The main provision that could reduce your Social Security benefit comes into play when you have a non-covered pension. A non-covered pension is a pension that you earned while you were not paying taxes into the Social Security system. That non-covered pension, if you receive those pension dollars and you also earned Social Security from another job, receiving the Social Security and the pension at the same time will cause potentially your Social Security to be reduced. The calculation on this one, it's called the windfall elimination provision, is complicated, okay, because it has to do with how many years of substantial earnings you have and all of that. But just know, if this applies to you, in your workbook there are calculations for the windfall elimination provision that can help you sort that out. The second provision that can apply when you have a non-covered pension occurs when you are not having your own Social Security, but you'd like to file for a spousal Social Security. In that scenario, what happens is 2/3 of the monthly benefit of your pension is used to reduce the monthly benefit from your Social Security. This can reduce Social Security from a spousal benefit to zero. The windfall elimination provision, you'll always get at least a little something. The government pension offset, it can reduce it to nothing. The Social Security system is a system that you've been paying into a long time. How much have you been paying? 6.2% of your pay has been going into this system over the last 20, 30, 40, however many years you've been working. Your employer has matched the other half of that for a total of 12.4% of your pay. Unless you're self-employed, then you got to pay both. Now, the system works like this. As you are paying taxes into the system, those dollars are leaving the system right now to pay current recipients. We're on a pay-as-we-go system. Unfortunately, it's not as if you have an account somewhere with 12.4% of your pay. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Okay, I think many of you could imagine, hey, I could do something with that. Well, sorry, the system is pay-as-we-go. So dollars flowing in are leaving right now to pay current recipients. Some people have heard it said that we borrow money on Social Security and that's why the system's broke. Not exactly, okay? What we actually do is the Social Security system has purchased Treasury bonds, effectively lending money to the government, but right now we're actively selling those Treasury bonds. We've been doing that since 2010, and we're fully funded with the sustained Treasury bonds that we have now, plus the taxes flowing in through the year 2035. In 2036, we're only funded roughly 75 cents on the dollar thereafter. Here's what will not happen. What will not happen is that in 2036, you'll get a letter saying, hey, sorry, we're cutting your benefit by 25%. Just don't even worry about that, okay? Social Security always gets fixed. You know this intuitively. How do they fix it? They reduce benefits for future recipients. They reduced your benefit. Doesn't necessarily feel like it because you're probably getting more money than what your parents got, but your parents got to file a full retirement age benefit at 65. The oldest of you had to wait till 66. Many of you have a full retirement age of 66 and some number of months, And some of you are young enough to have a full retirement age of 67. Moving that full retirement age from 65 to older ages effectively reduced your benefit. There are proposals to solve this Social Security problem that will go into play in 2034. Just kidding, sort of. So what they will do is they'll likely eliminate the age 62, right? So right now everybody can file as early as 62. Likely that's not going to be true for your kids and grandkids. They're going to say, sorry, you young people, 65 is the youngest age, maybe, something like that. Okay, also likely that they bump the full retirement age even older than 67. Also, you know, it gets talked about, not too much because it's not popular, but increasing payroll taxes is an idea, so that does get discussed. Okay, let's assume for a minute that all of you have a full retirement age of 66. I know many of you have a full retirement age of 66 and some number of months, but just for ease of explanation, we're going to assume for a minute that everybody has a full retirement age of 66. On your Social Security statement, in the upper right corner, that big bold number up there, that is your estimated primary insurance amount. That estimated primary insurance amount is the amount that is estimated to be available to you at your full retirement age. If that number says $2,000 and you file at your full retirement age, you should receive 100% of that, or $2,000. You are allowed to file early. You can file as early as the age of 62. If you file at 62, you take a reduction. You take a reduction all the way down, but at 62, your reduction would be 25%. So rather than $2,000, you'd only get $1,500. You're also allowed to delay past full retirement age, which will earn you delayed retirement credits, 8% per year simple interest. You could turn a $2,000 primary insurance amount. By age 70, that benefit could be $2,640. 8% simple interest per year, $2,640, 132%. Okay? Every month you delay or file early is a little bit of an increase or decrease depending on which way you go. The schedule is not annual. Even though we talk about it annually, it's a monthly change, not annual. So do be aware of that. 3 distinct benefits you can file for. First is retired workers benefit. This is a benefit that you're entitled to based upon your own work history. Spousal benefits are benefits you're entitled to based upon a spouse's work history or a divorced divorced spouse. We'll get to the deceased. The divorced spouse's work history. Okay, so either the current spouse or divorced spouse is where the spousal benefit comes in. Widow or survivor benefits come in when you're dealing with a deceased spouse's work history or a deceased ex-spouse's work history. Okay, so those are the 3 types of benefits that could be available. The last time Social Security law was changed was in October of 2015. In October of 2015, basically they took away all the fun stuff. So if you've ever heard of things like file and suspend, get a lump sum check, all of that, it's all gone, okay? One little exception. This is a rapidly diminishing group, so I'm going to cover it one time. If you have questions, I can answer in the Q&A, but just hang with me for 1 second. If you were born before January 2nd of 1954 and you have not filed for Social Security yet and you have a spousal or an ex-spousal benefit that you could file for, then you are allowed to file a restricted application starting with those spousal or ex-spousal benefits and switch to your own at a later date as late as age 70. For that group and for everyone else, there's really just a couple of things to remember about filing strategies on your benefits, meaning things you can do about how you file. First one is, if you file for your Social Security benefit and say, oh, wait a second, I wish I hadn't done that, for whatever reason, doesn't matter the reason. So long as you're within the first 365 days, one time you are allowed to rescind an application. Rescinding the application will reset your benefits as though you never filed, allowing you to earn all and any delayed retirement credits that you can. However, In order to get that done, you must pay back any dollars you've received thus far. So if they've paid you for 3 months, you got to pay back 3 months of benefits in order for them to reset your benefit as though you never filed. So what if you don't want to pay it back, but you also don't need Social Security? An example, I was laid off from a job, I get reemployed, I had filed Social Security, but I don't really need the Social Security because I have a job again. You may suspend your application at any time for any reason. Suspending your application will tell Social Security, stop paying me, and from the point at which you stop until as late as age 70, you will earn any increases that you're entitled to. Let's talk about spousal benefits. In order to qualify for a spousal benefit, you need to have been married for at least 1 year. The primary worker must have filed their benefit. So, if my wife has a $2,000 a month benefit, I have no work history, and I want to file a spousal benefit off of hers, she has to file her $2,000 for me to get a spousal off of her. How much am I expecting to receive? I'm expecting to get 1/2 of her $2,000 a month benefit. But these benefits are modified by the age at which you file. We'll talk about that more in just a second. Because it is 50% of the spouse's primary insurance amount, not the amount that they're receiving. So if John's primary insurance amount at his full retirement age is $2,000, Jane at her full retirement age is eligible for half of that, or $1,000. If Jane has a benefit of her own, this is bullet point number 3, that is more than $1,000, there's no spousal that she's dealing with. She's just going to file off of her own work history. Doesn't matter if it's $1,001. It's not like she can get hers plus some of John's, okay? She's just going to get hers if hers is more than 50% of John's. Again, more than 50% of his primary insurance amount, not benefit amount. Why do I focus on that? Well, if my wife with her $2,000 a month benefit files that at full retirement age, she's getting $2,000. My spousal benefit at my full retirement age would be $1,000. But I'm allowed to file early. Let's say I'm younger than her. I am, but only by a few months. But let's say that I was several years younger. So she files at full retirement age and gets $2,000. I don't get $1,000 if I file at 62. I get a reduction. But my reduction is not 75% as a spouse. It's extra reduced as a spouse, so it's only 70%. So rather than $750, okay, 75% of the $1,000, the spousal, I'm only getting $700. So if you want to think about it like extra penalties for spouses who file early, maybe that's a fair way to say it. But the key is spousal benefits are reduced on a faster schedule when filing early. Secondarily, if I take my spousal benefit of $1,000, okay, my wife can turn $2,000 into $2,640. We already talked about that. But I cannot turn $1,000 into $1,320. I max out a spousal benefit at full retirement age. There are no incentives for a spouse who's filing a spousal benefit to delay past full retirement age. Now, here's the kicker. Remember, my wife has to file for me to file off of her. So, what's the problem? The problem is that if she delays till 70 and we're the same age, I also delay till 70. But even though she's getting $2,640, I don't get $1,320. There was nothing in it for me to delay. I was stuck. So what's a common scenario? Common scenario would sound like this. My wife has $2,000. I have $500. So I'm thinking spousal, but she wants to turn $2,000 into $2,640. What do? Well, maybe I should still, not maybe, I should still file my own benefit at full retirement age, collect $500 a month until she files her maxed benefit at 70, and then I bump up to the full $1,000. Okay, let's talk about survivor benefits. For my married couples, when one of you passes away, only one benefit remains, and it is always the higher of the two. So, when you're thinking about Social Security, remember, longevity insurance, not for one of you, but for both of you. The higher benefit remains. regardless of who passes away. Now, the only caveat that could give you a little bump up is if the higher wage earner, the one with the higher benefit, filed at 62, they're getting 75%. Well, the survivor amount at a minimum is 82.5%. Okay, so there's an 82.5% survivor rule. So if I take a $2,000 benefit, I file at 62, I get $1,500, but then I predecease my wife, she will get a bump up to $1,650. Two most common questions we hear from married couples. Well, excuse me, not common questions, mistakes. Two most common mistakes we see married couples making. Number one, higher wage earner files early. Why is that a mistake? Remember, when one of you passes away, only one benefit remains. It's the higher of the two. If anyone's going to do any delaying, it's going to be that higher wage earner because it's your benefit that will be the survivor benefit. If I pass away with a $2,000 check and my wife has $1,000, she says goodbye to her $1,000, she keeps my $2,000. If she passes away, she takes her $1,000 with her, I keep my $2,000. In either case, we lose $1,000 a month when one of us passes. Okay, so higher wage earner, if anyone is filing on a delayed schedule, it's going to be that person so that they don't shortchange a surviving spouse. Next mistake we see married couples making is that both of you delay past full retirement age. Again, this comes mostly from our experience in working with real folks, and I can just tell you it almost never works out that both of you will delay past full retirement age. Generally speaking, one of you is going to file early to some degree or another, and the other of you is going to delay to some degree or another. Let's talk about divorced spouse benefits. In order to qualify for a divorced spouse benefit, you need to have been married for at least 10 years in a row to the same person. Married 7 years, divorced, remarried 5 years, even to the same person, divorced. 7 plus 5 does not equal 12. One of those two stints has to be at least 10 years for the divorced spouse benefits to be available. I know you didn't come on here for marriage counseling, but if you need a reason to hang on, there you go. You may not be currently married in order to have access to the divorced spouse benefit. So if you have a marriage that lasted more than 10 years and you're thinking, hey, I'd like to file their ex-spousal benefit, but you're remarried, forget about it. You just have your own benefit or your new spousal benefit. Same benefit amounts in terms of extra penalties for filing early and no increases for delaying apply to the ex-spousal benefits in the same way that the spousal benefits were affected. Last bullet point. This is the biggest difference between divorced spouse benefits and spousal benefits. If you have been divorced for at least 2 years, you may file independently of what your ex does, meaning it doesn't matter whether they've filed for benefits or not, you can file regardless of whether they have filed yet. If you were born before January 2nd of 1954 and you have not yet filed for a benefit and you have a marriage that lasted more than 10 years, the restricted application may be particularly advantageous to you. One goofy thing about divorced spouse benefits, if you have a marriage that lasted more than 10 years and that spouse is younger than you and you turn 62 and you start with your own Social Security, a couple of years go by, that younger spouse hits 62 and their spousal is more than yours, you can switch. If you can conjure up another scenario like that where you got another spouse that a couple of years go by and their benefit's even higher, you can switch again. Okay, as many scenarios like that as you can conjure up, you can do it. Common questions we hear from those who are divorced. I'm divorced. My ex is going to file off of my work history. Is that going to affect me in some way? No, it will not. I'm divorced and I've remarried. My ex is going to file off of me. My new spouse is going to file off of me. Will their benefits affect each other in some way? No, they will not. I'm divorced and I managed to fit a few 10-year marriages in my lifetime and I'm remarried and I'm going to die young. Okay, just kidding. All right, so stress level, I guess. I don't know, actually. I've only been married one time personally. Maybe some of you can tell me. Does having that many marriages, do you just kind of get numb to it, or is the stress level as high as I imagine? Maybe I'm asking too much, but in any case, you could throw it in the chat if you so desire. Okay, so here's the scenario. You can have as many 10-year marriages as you can fit into your lifetime, filing off of your work history. You can have a new spouse filing off of your work history, totally fine. And in fact, if you do predecease them, they are all eligible for widow benefits. It is allowed. Okay, another common question. I'm divorced. I'm going to file off of my ex. Are they going to know that I've done that somehow? No. Okay, the only way that they would know is if you tell them. Okay, Social Security doesn't notify them. They're not affected in any way. There's no way for them to know. Let's talk about widow benefits. Widows are a special group. They have the most options for how they can file, and they are the only group that can file as early as the age of 60. In order to file for benefits at the age of 60, you must remain unmarried if you were widowed prior to reaching the age of 60. First workshop I ever did, gal in the back raised her hand during the Q&A portion of the time and said, so if I understand this right, it sounds like I should delay the wedding? Now, in her case, it was kind of a big deal. So let me lay out the scenario. This was a June workshop. She was slated to be married in September. March of the following year was when she was going to turn 60. So she marries in September. She's not 60 yet. Widow benefits are not available. So she can't file it all at the age of 60. The amount available to her at that time was just under $1,500. If she remarried, she has to wait 2 years because 62 is now the new age. And the higher benefit between her own and her new spousal was the new spousal, and it was just less than $1,000 a month. So how awesome is this? I gotta wait. I just knocked off $500 off this lady. I don't know how I did that, but somehow in my mind I forgot. It's actually just less than $2,000 and just less than $1,500. But either case, it's $500 a month, okay? So the point is she's got to wait 2 years to get $500 a month less, okay? So $500 a month less. I've been telling this story so long, you think I wouldn't forget, but at the same time, it's been a long time since it happened, so hard for me to remember that. But in any case, it was just under $2,000, would have been just under $1,500 if she had remarried before 60, and she had to wait 2 years. So yeah, we did recommend that she delay the wedding. Now, I think this is funny. I'm a religious person, so you could decide for yourself what you think. But she went to her priest and said, so can we do just like the religious part of the ceremony and sign stuff later? And her priest said, no, no, no. I said, there's got to be another priest. I'm certain of it. But she's very devout, and the wedding was delayed, and I didn't get an invite. Okay, last provision about widow benefits that I want to highlight. In order for widow benefits to be available, you need to have been married for a minimum of 9 months prior to the person's death. There are exceptions, though. This provision is here to prevent deathbed marriages. It is not here to hurt people, well-meaning people. Gal was married later in life. Husband was in the armed forces. Her husband was shipped overseas, killed in action. They had been married just less than 6 months. Okay, this is the only real-life example I've run across. She assumed that no widow benefits were available because she hadn't met the 9-month requirement. However, it wasn't like he had a terminal illness, so we were able to submit documentation and widow benefits were reopened. Okay, another widow case study that highlights how widows have lots of different options for how they can file. John never elected. We never met John. John died at 64 years of age. His benefit at his full retirement age was $2,150. We did meet Jane. She attended one of our workshops at the age of 60. She's 5 years younger than John. She was 59 when he died. She did not remarry. We met her at our workshop. She had turned 60 a couple of months prior, and she was trying to figure out, hey, what should I do? I hear I have this widow benefit. Jane does have her own work history. of $1,197 that would be available to her at the age of 62. One of the very most common things we see about widow benefits is that they go ahead and file for those widow benefits right away. Now, sometimes that's good, and sometimes, maybe there's a different decision there. But in Jane's case, if she filed at 60, she'd get $1,537 a month. If she lives till 85, she would collect over her lifetime, assuming no inflation, $461,000. Not bad. However, the real Jane was still working. We're going to talk about the earnings test in just a second, but in her case, it just didn't work for her to, that was weird to say that about working. It just didn't make sense for her to file for widow benefits because the earnings test basically knocked them all except a few dollars a year away. So what she was better off doing, because she planned to work for a couple more years and in fact did, was to file for her own benefit at full retirement, or at 62, $1,197 a month. And then she will switch to widow benefits at 67. So start with her own, switch to widow at 67, $2,150 a month. Over her lifetime, that's more than $77,000 available to her simply for knowing her options and understanding what's in her best interest. Now, another option that could make sense for Jane is if she, changes her mind, is maybe ready to retire early, she could have started with those widow benefits, $1,537 at the age of 60, and collect those all the way until she turns 70. At 70, her own $1,197 has grown to full retirement age and then been maximized with delayed retirement credits all the way up to $2,108. If she switches, it's more than $100,000 more over her lifetime simply for understanding and knowing her options. Okay. The earnings test was the reason why Jane could not work and receive widow benefits at the same time. The earnings test applies in any scenario where you are filing for Social Security prior to reaching your full retirement age. The earnings test says the first $18,960 that you earn, Social Security does not care about that. Any amount above the $18,960, Social Security cares. How much do they care? They care about $1 for every 2 above the limit. Here's how this works. Let's say, for example, you have an income of $58,960. Strange number, but the math is easy and you'll see that. $58,960 minus the amount they don't care, $18,960, leaves us with $40,000 above the limit. It's a 1 for 2, so we chop it in half. You are ineligible to receive $20,000. Meaning, if the benefit, say you're filing for, is $2,000 a month, $2,000 goes into $20,000 10 times, which means you will not receive a Social Security benefit in January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. Then you receive a $2,000 check in November and a $2,000 check in December. What it does not mean is that you'll receive a check all year. It'll just be a reduced amount. That's the mistake that most people make. When you go over the limit, you don't receive anything until you have paid back what you were ineligible to receive. Okay, that's how that works. In the year that you turn your full retirement age, but before you turn your full retirement age, your earnings test is $50,520, and it's a 1 for 3. This almost never applies to anyone, so we'll cruise on by it for now. Taxes. Okay, everybody, let's wake up. Do a dance. Do some jumping jacks, whatever you need to do. Get another cup of water. Okay, taxes is a big deal, and we're going to spend time on it now, but it is probably the single biggest differentiator in how you file Social Security and what makes you a Social Security planning person that is really optimizing your plan and maximizing these benefits to their full potential, and the person who's, basically doing a prediction about how long you'll live. Okay? Taxes is a very big deal. So let's talk about it. One of the things that makes taxes such a big deal is just the pure complexity with which the IRS has built how you pay taxes on your Social Security benefits. It's really quite ridiculous. It actually takes 33 pages in publication 915 produced by the IRS every year. 33 pages is required to tell you everything you could possibly need to know about how you'll pay taxes on Social Security. I can't even imagine. I feel like if it takes more than a page, they should have just scrapped it and gone to something simpler, but whatever, it's 33 pages. Okay, there are some helpful things. Maybe I'm saying this a little tongue-in-cheek, but there are some helpful things in this report, like this worksheet. This worksheet will detail out for you the 19-step process that you must go through to determine how you will pay taxes on your Social Security. This is why we all are just so thrilled about everything related to taxes in our government. Okay, anyway. All right, moving on. Line 1 of that worksheet is where you would put provisional income. Provisional income is the number that is used to determine how much tax you will pay on your Social Security. What provisional income consists of is 3 things. Number 1, all of your adjusted gross income. Rental properties, income, wages, 1099s, K1s, all the sources of income that you have. Rental, it doesn't matter. Self-employment, all the income. Capital gains, long and short, same difference. All the income. Plus non-taxable interest. So municipal bond interest income does get roped into this. And then the third one's a kicker, okay? And I'm almost sorry to say it every time I have to say it. But actually 50% of the Social Security benefits that you're receiving count towards the number that determines how much tax you owe on Social Security. Okay, if that number, and you are single, is more than $25,000, you start paying taxes on Social Security. If that number goes above $34,000, you could be paying taxes on up to 85% of your benefits. Married couples, if that number goes above $32,000, you start paying taxes on Social Security. If that number goes above $44,000, you could be paying tax on up to 85% of your benefits. The question is twofold. Number 1, how much tax exactly? Well, this is where it gets a little complicated. Sorry if you're already feeling overcomplicated, but this is the complicated part. So let's take a scenario. Let's say you're cruising along just fine through retirement. You have some Social Security dollars coming in, maybe a pension or withdrawals from a 401k, but you're enjoying retirement. Everything's going well. But you like to book a trip. Especially if you're retired now and you're going, gosh, I retired to go do things. Let's go do things. Okay, you got your vaccines, you're good, right? So you're ready to go. So you start booking your trip and you're looking and you're going to spend $10,000 on this trip. It's a little outside your regular income, so you need to pull those dollars from somewhere. So you look around, you say, where am I going to get this $10,000 from? And you see, okay, my 401k seems to be doing well. I'll pull it from there. What did I save all this money for? I saved it for me. So you call up your 401k plan and you say, excuse me, I'd like to pull some money from my account. They say, no problem. I'll take $10,000, please. Great, we'll get that for you. And then they ask you a very important question. They say, how much tax would you like to have withheld from this distribution? And let's say you're feeling especially judicious today and very mindful, and you say, okay, well, let me check my tax return. So you go to your tax return, you say, well, it looks like I'm in the 12% tax bracket or marginal rate. So you come back, you say, I'll withhold 12%, please. No problem. They send you your funds. You go on your trip. Everything's great. You get to the next year and you are March, February, punching things into TurboTax. And TurboTax is broken. It says I owe money. I never owe money. Something's wrong. TurboTax, you get on the 800 number. You type in the chat. What's going on? It says I owe money. I always withhold enough. How did this happen? Well, unfortunately, TurboTax is not broken. You just made a mistake. Here's the mistake. When you took that $10,000 distribution from the 401k, you were above these numbers. And so what you didn't account for is that, yes, that $10,000 was taxed at 12%, but you forgot or didn't realize that Social Security was being taxed in addition at another 12%. And you didn't realize that because you're above these limits, those dollars hadn't been taxed previously, but now they are. So the effective tax rate on that distribution, 12 plus 12, is closer to 24. That's not the bad scenario. I wish it was, but that's not the bad one. The bad one looks like this. You've done a lot of smart things in your life. You've worked hard, you tried to put away enough, you're not sure if it's enough yet or you're feeling good about it, but you've saved up a good amount of money so you can get to retirement and feel good about it. So you've put all these dollars in a 401k plan. You've gotten the free money from the IRS, money that would have been taxed otherwise. You got the free money from the employer with your employer matches and all that good stuff, and you've built up this wonderful account. You get to retirement. You've gone out of your way to reduce expenses. You paid off your mortgage. You got rid of a car loan. You eliminated some other, ancillary debts. Maybe you canceled your cable and went to Netflix. We've seen it all, but you've done the thing that you think is the right thing to do, which is probably correct, which is reduce my expenses so that I don't put too much pressure on my investments. I can make it through the rest of my life. I don't know how long I'll live. I want to make sure that I'm not a burden to my family, that I have enough funds to get to the end of my retirement and be okay. But there's a byproduct. The byproduct is that, hey, you've invested these dollars and they keep growing. And it grows to a nice amount at retirement. You're feeling good, you're feeling confident, but then because you aren't spending that much, even though you're retired, they continue to grow. And then one day you wake up and it is your 72nd birthday. Congratulations. You are now required to take a minimum distribution from your IRA, 401k, 403b, 457, TIAs, TSPs, all of your qualified accounts. You must take a distribution, required minimum distribution. Now, if you don't, it's no problem. It's just a 50% penalty. So the IRS will take half the distribution if you fail to take it. So don't fail to take it. But the problem is that if that count is quite large, the distribution is going to be quite large. So, okay, I've got all this extra income, but I'm above these limits. So I take all this extra income here, I add all this extra taxes to Social Security, and then whoops, I went up a tax bracket. Now it's not 12 and 12 is 24. Could be 22 and 22 is 44. These are the kinds of tax mistakes that you really want to make sure that you avoid and dodge and do pre-planning around to minimize that. You say, well, I want to grow my money, Kyle. I don't want to stop growing my money. Is that the only alternative? Well, there's planning strategies, right? We're going to talk about one in a second that only talks about Social Security, but just to give you an idea, what about Roth conversions? If you're not familiar with Roth conversions, you should get familiar with this because that's a great planning strategy to help minimize the effect of turning 72 and having that required minimum distribution. Let's look at a client example that helps us manage this tax risk just with a Social Security strategy. Here's the scenario. Clients are 64 and 62. They have about $34,000 of Social Security benefits. They will retire with $752,000 in their 401k and IRA accounts. They will earn 6% on those investments, and they will need to increase their spending by 3% to keep up with inflation, and they'll increase that starting at $70,000 a year of income. They'll live to 86 and 89 respectively. There are three groups of you who are listening to this scenario. First group is hearing this and saying, okay, yeah, the numbers are a little different here or there, but it's pretty close. Yeah, this is good. Okay, so obviously this will be very meaningful to you. Another group of you is looking at this and saying, 752,000? What happened? Didn't they have any kids? So look, if that's you, if you're saying, gosh, that seems like a lot of savings, I don't have quite that much, I need you to pay attention because this couple with 752,000 has a running out of money problem. And we're going to show how Social Security can help fix that. there's a third group of you. The third group of you is saying, yeah, I knew you were going to say they're going to run out of money, Kyle. I knew it. 752, that's not enough. They haven't saved enough. They need to keep working. I knew you were going to say that. Well, look, if you're in that group, I need you to pay attention because this couple with only $752,000 has a tax problem, and we're going to show how Social Security can help solve that. Okay, if this couple early on files Social Security, it covers about half of their total income need. Blue lines are Social Security, orange lines are the withdrawals that they're taking from their 401k and IRA accounts. The red line is their income target, increasing over time with inflation. The amount of the orange lines above the red line is the amount that they are paying in taxes. A few things to notice. Number one, Social Security doesn't keep up with real inflation. Lags behind real inflation historically by about 1%. The reason for this, and I know all of you are going to be amazed and shocked by it, is that Social Security increases with the CPI-W index, which leaves some things out, and you tend to spend money with the CPI-U index. Lo and behold, the CPI-U index increases a little faster than the CPI-W. And again, I know you're all shocked. All right, so what does that mean? It means they have to take out more and more from their 401k over time to keep up with inflation. As they do that, that double taxation process I described a moment ago causes the taxes, the orange lines above the red, not to increase linearly, but to increase exponentially. All this pressure put on their investments causes them to run out of money 14 years too soon. The only difference between this slide and the next slide is a change in the Social Security filing strategy. This couple and many other folks would have lots of strategies available to help them manage this. Okay, we're not doing any of them though. We're not switching investments. We're not restructuring accounts to generate different types of income. We're not doing Roth conversions. No advanced tax planning between this slide and the next slide. The only change is a change in the Social Security filing strategy. We did it like that so you understand how important Social Security is to an overall retirement plan and also to how it affects you from a tax perspective. Let's take a look. If this couple will use their investments to generate their income in the early years and optimize Social Security, filing at a later date, you see that once they file Social Security, it covers a much higher percentage of their overall income need. In addition to that, their withdrawals out of their 401k are able to drop down so much that they don't run out, right? Their money lasts their lifetime. Number two, you'll see that the amount of the yellow line, I say yellow, I know it looks orange to you. The orange line above the red line shrinks down. There's a little bit there, I don't know if you can see it, but not much. Okay, it is not uncommon, especially when we do some advanced tax planning, to get folks into a position where they pay very little and sometimes even no taxes on Social Security once they file for benefits. If we compare the taxes, yes, an optimized plan has them paying a little bit more in taxes in the early years. But look at all these excess taxes being paid, these orange lines above the blue lines, just because they filed Social Security early. Eventually, they do stop paying taxes, but they're broke, so it's not a good deal. Even though they weren't paying taxes for 14 years, they still saved $35,000 in taxes over their lifetime by optimizing Social Security. They get $186,000 more out of their Social Security, and their portfolio lasts 14 more years. Your Social Security statement is a wonderful thing to have. We recommend that you look at it every so often. Number one, so that you can make sure it's correct. There's a statute of limitations on making corrections to your statement, so do be aware of that. You should check it every year. But understand that on your statement, there are no future cost of living expectations applied. It assumes that you're working till 62, retire and file immediately, or to full retirement age, retire, file immediately, or all the way until 70, retire and file immediately. It doesn't take into account that what if I retire at 65, but delay taking Social Security till 70? How does that look? Social Security statement might be a little off for that kind of scenario. It's your work record only, okay? Does not factor in widow benefits, spousal benefits, divorce benefits. It's just your work history, and certainly and obviously no advice. So look, after hearing our presentation today, and maybe I should say it like this, I mean, can any of you even imagine trying to make a Social Security decision without factoring in these other factors of how does this affect my other spending? What does my taxes look like? I find it hard to believe that anyone, at least with the education and the time we spent today, is going to say, oh yeah, this Social Security thing is no big deal. If you're feeling like that, then look, we're not on the same page, because this Social Security filing decision is such a critical component to a retirement plan. And to be on the same page with us in terms of the serious level of attention that we pay to this and how it can impact and affect you for your retirement, look, we take this stuff seriously, and I hope that you do too, because you've paid a lot of money into this system. You should try and get out of it what you paid in, and maybe more, hopefully, right? That's what we all hope for. If you feel that you could use some assistance in evaluating it from that perspective with a level of seriousness attached to it, then we would encourage you to take advantage of a free offer that we're going to make to you for attending our workshop here today. We're going to provide to you a Social Security analysis that is unlike any other analysis that you've ever been offered in any other workshop that maybe you have attended. Now, if you haven't attended one, I'm telling you, ours is the best. Is it okay for me to say that? I don't know. Maybe that's too strong. You could tell me. But obviously, I think it's very good, but there's a reason why it's especially good. Number one, all of our advisors that will help you get this analysis together are National Social Security Advisor certified. We don't let just anybody provide this analysis to you. Number two, we pay attention to how Social Security is going to play into your overall cash flow needs, especially coordinating with taxes. Can we think of a time when we've had more uncertainty around taxes than today? Can you imagine a scenario where tax planning would be less important than it is today? I can't imagine that. I think that it's only going to become more important over time. So do what you can today with some of the advantages we have on today's tax code to manage things so that if taxes get worse, you've done the things to protect yourself or at least hedge your risk. So our analysis will take not only the Social Security into play, but it will also for you look at the taxes and overall income and cash flow. It's available to you at no cost. If it's so good, why is it free, Kyle? Well, let's talk about that in a second, but let me tell you what's in the analysis first. First, it is specific about your benefits. So this is not a generalized report. It's very specific to your needs and how you should file just for you. What are the break-even points? Should I file at this age or that age? Do the benefits break even? Is there a better time to file than another? We will evaluate different and multiple strategies on your behalf. Also, we will analyze this from a tax perspective. Very important. This couple, okay, I don't know how well you can see it, but they came in with a recommendation where we said, hey, Roth conversions could be a big deal to you. Okay, if they do these Roth conversions, we actually keep them out of being taxed at that full 85% on the benefits. What a big deal. Okay, Social Security has some tax advantages with it, but only if you do the proper planning to make sure you're not getting taxed on the full 85%. So again, worth doing that level of planning. Also, we'll look at the assessment. Is it worth it? Did everything make sense? Did it work out for you to file in a better way? Did it actually increase your net worth? For this couple, it did. What about Roth dollars? Yeah, doing a Roth conversion strategy coupled with the Social Security got them over $700,000 more of Roth dollars by doing that. So we'll do this analysis for you, see how it looks, okay? Okay, let's talk for a minute about why all this free stuff, okay? You're gonna get a free workbook. I don't think any of you paid to be here. If you did, let me know, because I didn't get paid to be here. So the point is the Social Security workbook is no cost. That analysis that I just showed you some screen captures of is at no cost. Why all the free stuff? Okay, let me say a few things about that. Number one, We believe in, putting our best foot forward, showing you the value of the work that we do before you have to make a decision to hire us. We know that many of you have relationships, that you have been investing in certain types of accounts and have had 401k plans for a long time and all that stuff. So what? Okay, you're getting to a new frame of life. But we don't want you to have to look at or think about making changes just because we're nice people, and I think we're nice people, but that's not a good enough reason. A good enough reason is that we can actually make a big difference for you. And this is our opportunity to highlight that to you and show you that we can make a big difference to you. You are not obligated to become a client of my firm, City Center Financial, to get the analysis. We will provide that analysis to you at no cost. We'll also send you the workbook at no cost. However, our experience says that us giving you this value and showing you what we can do for you and what we've done for our clients, that will allow you to say, hey, maybe there's some additional value I can get from Kyle and his team at City Center Financial. So if you feel that way after seeing the analysis and getting that value, I want you to know that there will come a point where we will say, hey, we'd like to talk about some other things. If at that point you're saying, yeah, this is all helpful, this is making sense, then we're in the frame of saying, okay, as a fiduciary firm, we disclose all fees up front. If we're talking about planning, there could be an hourly rate. Different advisors at different experience levels on my team have different hourly rates. Okay, but we'll disclose those to you up front. If we're into not just straight planning, but we're going into the retirement investing and trying to fix and optimize things there, then we're talking about investment advisory fees. Typical client for us pays just less than 0.7%, 0.7, okay? I have to enunciate that because someone will say 7%. It's not 7%, it's 0.7% is a typical average advisory fee for our clients, okay? Now that's going to depend on the size of the client and how extensive the investment strategies are we using, algorithmic modeling and all that stuff. But the point is we'll disclose all fees up front and ahead of time. So if we get down that path and you're saying, hey, this has been great, we'd like to maybe hire you guys, let's talk about that, then we'll disclose all fees and everything and be very transparent with you about that, okay? So number 2, City Center Financial, my firm, does now own and operate the Einstein Retirement Workshops brand. Okay, so that's how we come to you, is with the Einstein Retirement Workshops brand. That is our educational brand. We have a daily podcast, we do these workshops, we produce content with the workbooks, okay, all of that. We used to be separate entities, but we did so much work with Einstein that we ended up acquiring that brand. Okay, so now my firm, City Center Financial, does own and operate Einstein Retirement Workshops. Okay, so I think that's all the transparency points. Let me say a couple of things. Number 1, if you request the workbook, you'll go to sendworkbook.com. Number 2, if you want to request the analysis, same website. Just after you're done with the workbook part, you'll say, yes, I'd like to get that free analysis. If you want the enhancement to the analysis with the overall cash flow and tax planning, you got to say yes. I need to coordinate my assets. I need to pay attention to taxes. Okay, so you got to say yes to that stuff, and it'll let you get the enhanced analysis with the cash flow and taxes. And then there's also available for those who are really getting close to retirement or want to make sure that you're 5 years, 10 years away from retirement, even if you're that far away, or if you're already in retirement. Okay, and you want to say, hey, how do I measure up? Am I ready to go? Am I on the right track? Then you want to request our Retirement Defender Screening Report. That report will also be an option to you that you can select, yes, get me that report. It will not cost you anything to get that report, but it will say to us, okay, they're really thinking about retirement. Let's get this together. Let's make sure their plans are in place. And that's what that report will do. It evaluates the 6 key areas for retirement readiness, and we will evaluate those with you and give you a score, okay? All right. We're going to go to the Q&A in just a second, so put your questions in the chat, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, just put those right in. If you're getting the analysis from us, this is a virtual process. We will be on video call, a video call with you, okay? Our team is fully licensed, all fiduciaries, certified, National Social Security Advisor certified, and trained by me personally. I hope that's good. But all of our advisors are trained by me personally. So everyone that you meet with will be fully credentialed and certified to provide and get you a high quality analysis, okay? But we will be on video conference. You'll see our smiling faces. We'd love to see you as well, but that's your call. It's up to you, okay? All right. I'm going to start going through, go here. Questions. So you can go to this web link at any time, sendworkbook.com. I'm going to start answering questions here. Let's see. Okay, we have people asking if there's a replay that they got here a little late. I'd encourage you to go to YouTube. And if you go to YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel first. No, I'm just kidding. All right. We'd love to have you subscribe to our YouTube channel. But the first thing that you want to do is you want to just look for the presentation. It will stay up for a little bit of time, and you can rewind it. Okay, so on YouTube, I find that's the best. You can rewind the presentation and watch the parts that you missed. Okay, so for those of you who are asking. I want to try and answer this question, but I don't know if you're having a tech problem. I can't. Amy, it sounds like, okay, I'm not sure if that's maybe, that might not even been a real question. Could have been a grandchild, mashing the keys. Okay. Diane Pack says, hi, my husband and I are separated and don't have plans for a divorce yet. He's waited till 70 to receive Social Security, and I started my Social Security at 62. If I wait till my full retirement age, which will be next August of 2022, can I switch and receive half of his? He receives approximately $3,900 and mine is $1,000. Would that I get the additional $800? Did you say he's waited until 70? So remember, it's 50% of his primary insurance amount. So I'd have to do the backwards math, but there should be a little increase available to you, Diane, except that you filed early, so maybe not. Okay, I can't say 100% for sure, but because you filed early and he delayed, we'd have to merge those two into a full retirement age benefit and see if 50% of his full retirement age benefit is more than yours, and I'm not sure that it will be, okay? Thank you, Carmen, good. I don't have a retirement to speak of, so I don't think this will affect me. Thank you, okay. All right, well, I hope you have something that can do well. Thank you, Donna. You are the only person who will do, okay, fair enough. That's probably true. I have a couple people who I love and adore that toot my own horn for me. Toot my horn for me. I don't know. For some reason, that seems like not a good thing. Yes, I agree. This web has been more informational than... Oh, great. Thank you, Lillian. Appreciate that feedback. Good, Carolyn. Great. Great, Diane. Good. If you work for 20 years in a foreign country, how does that figure into Social Security? It depends on the country. Okay, so some countries do have agreements. I don't have those details memorized. I always have to look it up. Okay, it's just too much, Many foreign countries participate with Social Security in some way, and vice versa. So Social Security will participate with other countries. They have to have an agreement. But if it's a country like that, there could be some coordination there. Okay, Linda says, if you have a pension and put it into a Roth IRA, is it taxed? Yes. So moving a pension dollars, so let's say you take a lump sum out of a pension and you put it into a IRA, and then you put those IRA dollars into a Roth IRA, yes, that is a taxable event. So oftentimes people will convert small amounts over a number of years, not all at once. Is there a certain amount that have to be put into Roth dollars? No, no certain amount. You get to do whatever you want. Do we cover Texas? Yes, we have many clients in Texas. We have clients nationally, all over the place. Okay, Anastasia says, I am 66 in 4 months. I have one marriage that lasted 39 years. I still am employed and working for 45 years, part-time, UPS, full medical benefits for both of us. Okay, husband worked offshore 33 years, forced retirement, contract filed for in 2016 to receive Social Security at 62, $18.20 a month. I must retire before 2023, but do not want to. 2023. So you're saying at 70. Well, there's no reason to delay past 70. Okay, even if you're still going to work, Anastasia, you should still file for Social Security as late as 70. There's no increases or benefits for you to delay past full retirement age. I hope that's answering the question. Okay, Steve. Hey, Steve's back with the beard. I'm planning to retire in 6 months at 64. My wife is 7 years older and has been collecting Social Security since she was 62. Can she collect on mine when I file? Yeah, if the spousal benefit will give her an increase, the answer is yes, Steve, but that has to be true. There has to be an increase there. Okay, Rebecca says, where I work for 20 years, they've begun offering a Roth plan. I would like to do this as maybe I'd like to know if this is a good idea. It could be, right? So you have to do the planning to know, are you the person that's going to get a great value from a Roth plan, or is it better to maybe wait till retirement and then do Roth conversions then? Different people have different situations, Rebecca, but it's possible that could be a great idea for you. Okay, Sharon says, I'm a widow who at 60 had to take my Social Security for my husband and who did not take his Social Security. Well, if you filed at 60, Sharon, you're already getting his amount because you can't file for your own at 60. So the question will be is, at your age 70, is your benefit worth more than the current widow benefit you're receiving? Okay, my husband is a retired school administrator. He gets TRS retirement, okay? Can he get Social Security off my benefits when I retire? So Viola, I wonder, is it Viola or Viola, like the instrument? Probably Viola. He's wearing a cowboy hat, it looks like. So you're from the South, so it's probably Viola. All right, I have a lot of family from the South, so do you go by Vi, I wonder? Okay. All right, so probably no, okay? So the answer is probably no, because 2/3 of his pension will reduce the spousal benefits that he could be potentially entitled to. Okay, Rob Sandler, good, Rob, thank you. Again, at any time, you can go to sendworkbook.com, request your workbook. We'll get you that copy. And then the analysis, we encourage you to take advantage of that. We'd love to help you if you think you could get some value from that. Okay, Pat says, what if I am 69 and have planned to take Social Security out when I turn 70, 11 months from now? Can anything be done to increase my benefit and or my taxes? Is it too late for me to get help? Well, hopefully not increase taxes, but there's some planning that could be done potentially to decrease your taxes, most definitely. So yeah, I mean, as far as Social Security strategizing, not a big value there, but that tax planning component could be very important to you, Pat. Lillian Harris asks, my husband was on Social Security disability and passed away at 58. Will that play a role in collecting my widow benefits? The fact that he collected disability, no. Okay, it does not affect it. Thank you, Julian. All right, good, Pat. Well, I mean, thank you, but I'm sorry you didn't know earlier, but you know now, okay? So, no more dilly-dallying, Let's get some planning in place, okay? Try to take advantage of any opportunities you have still. Okay, Donita, Lucas Brown says, I'm 59-year-old widow, but my deceased husband is 2 years younger than me. Okay, will I still be able to collect widow benefits next year? The answer is yes. Okay, great question, by the way. That's a very good question. The answer is yes. Okay, Linda Ambergery says, I will be turning 66 in August, and I am getting widow Social Security for 5 years now. So if I understand, I can stay on widows and go off my late husband at 70. Okay, so not exactly. If you're on the widow, you actually go, well, maybe by off you mean switch to your own. Okay, so the key is switching to your own benefit, potentially maximized and really a nice high benefit, higher than your widow benefit at 70. So, you have to have a benefit that has grown and maximized to the age of 70. And if that's true, yes, you could switch. Pat, yeah, you're on YouTube right now, so you can just rewind the presentation and watch it again. No problem. My question, do I file at 66 and 4 months and wait until 70? Oh, I see. Because you're full retirement age, you're thinking, well, maybe I should file now even though I'm still working part-time. Yeah, you could, okay? I mean, that's an option. Which one is best is going to depend on a few factors, but it's going to be, what happens in a survivor if you maximize yours to 70? Does that create a really nice survivor benefit between you and your spouse? If you do maximize till 70, does that give you time to do some tax planning between now and 70? Okay, so there's a few different questions that we'd have to answer there, but I could see it going either way. It just depends on what the short, long-term goal is. And I hope you're getting the analysis because we can absolutely help you sort that out. Good, thank you, David. Oh, great, wow. Wow, thank you for that. Appreciate that. Is the money received from your IRA or Roth count toward the... No. So great question, Karen. So the question is what income counts? I'm going to broaden your question slightly, Karen. What income counts towards the $18,960, the earnings test? Only earned income, okay? W-2, 1099, contract work, self-employment, okay? Those are the three things. So you have to be getting one of those types of income for that to affect the $18,960. The IRA distributions, the Roth distributions, pension benefits, annuity benefits, none of that affects the $18,960, okay? Thank you, Margaret. Appreciate that. Good, Anastasia. Okay, Trudy Mildebrath. I was married for over 20 years. We got divorced and he died a year later. Okay, he was only 50 but made much more in the trades and hit the cap for Social Security every year. Okay, I will be 63 on Sunday. Yeah, Trudy, so long as you never remarried, you have widow benefits available right now. Okay, so I don't know if you're still working, so you might be like the Jane in our example, where you'd have to deal with the earnings test, so maybe you need to wait a few years. But you have access to widow benefits from him right now. Now, depending on how that works out, I don't know if you should maybe start yours first and switch to his at full retirement age, or you should start the widow now and switch to yours at 70. Okay, knowing which one is going to work best. That's where, obviously the analysis, if you find that would be helpful, that would really answer that question. Okay, Lori says, can we receive Medicare without taking Social Security payments at 65? Yes, the answer is yes. Karen says, I'm currently drawing on my ex. I will be 79 in September. I'm still working. Maybe you mean you're 69? Well, maybe 79, because you... at 70 if mine is more than his. Do I have to convert to mine at 70 if his is more than mine? No. So you can just continue as you are. If his is more, don't worry about it. You have your income. You can keep collecting his. It's no problem. But you won't switch to his, you won't switch to yours if his is more. You just stay on it. Okay, Dorothy says, credit union that I belong to told me that because of my age, 66, that my Roth wouldn't be taxable. Is that true? Yes, that's true, Dorothy. Great, Steve. Thanks. Appreciate that. I was going to retire at 70. I'm a teacher. Am I entitled to any of his Social Security? Oh, I know you asked a question earlier, Trudy. Let me see. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, the answer is yes, Trudy. Yeah. Now, it depends on how your benefit versus his works out as to the order you should take it, but yes. Well, hold on. Let me think about this. As a retired teacher, if you have a non-covered pension, that will play into things. But the short answer is yes, you have access. Just might be a reduced amount if depending on the pension. A friend was told to wait 6 months after full retirement age to claim Social Security. Do you know why, or is this advisable? Well, okay, so here's the premise. The premise is this. If you delay past full retirement age and claim at 6 months later, well, there could be tax planning reasons. Maybe you're trying to get into a next year. I mean, hard to say for sure why that was the recommendation. But one thing that you're allowed to do when you file past full retirement age is you can get back pay up to 6 months in arrears. So if she could file 6 months after full retirement age and actually get a back pay 6 months prior. Now, maybe they're trying to do some weird tax planning there, possibly. But, it kind of depends. There's too many factors, Kathy, for me to answer exactly why that was the recommendation. But, maybe that had something to do with it. It's just a game, though. I mean, she's not going to get a higher benefit by doing it like that. So it's just like a timing game, essentially. And I don't know her situation to know if that's useful. Oh, good, Vi. All right, awesome. Yep. Okay. Terry says, a good seminar. Great. I'm a CPA, 66 years old, trying to get out of full time. All right. What's it take to become a certified retirement advisor? Give us a call, Terry. We'll talk about it. But it's a few key steps, right? As far as retirement planning, it's a key specialized benefit. But happy to talk and help people out. Lots of people need help. It's good to add good quality people. And as a CPA, you add some additional potential tax expertise that could be really good. So just reach out to our company. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you about it. Hope you can help some people. As you can see with the number of people that attend our workshops, lots of people are looking for help. Okay, again, if you haven't already done so, I do encourage you to go to sendworkbook.com, request our workbook. If the analysis is something that you're going to find helpful, make sure you get that as well, and we'll get that going for you. Okay, Karen asks, I'm 68 years old. I'm currently drawing on my ex. I was 66 when I took it. Okay. Do I have to convert to mine at 70 if his is more? No, you do not. Does it pay me to keep working and paying into mine? Will it continue building? Now, once you hit 70, you're done. Okay, it stops building. Naomi, Sylvia asks, is this the best place to ask a question? Probably the best place to ask a question is to get the analysis and ask that person one-on-one so they can get a little better sense of your specific circumstance. But outside of that, of course, it's the best place. Sylvia, who better to answer your question than me? Hubris. Too much hubris. All right, Paul says, I'm still working and plan on retirement in January at 69. Someone encouraged me to toot my own horn, I think, earlier. Maybe I misread that. Okay, plan on retirement in January at age 69. Okay, I've been collecting as I'm not sure as what, but since 66. Okay, so you've been collecting maybe Social Security, not as SS, since 66. Okay, I'm single. Will my Social Security benefits go up because I'm still paying in? Yeah, it could, right? It could go up a little bit, but likely not that much, not from the work. Okay, any advice to increase my benefit? I was previously married for 20 years, but now divorced for 10 years. In your case, probably not. Paul, unfortunately, I'm sorry. Probably nothing to increase benefits. Your key is going to be tax planning. Try to manage your tax planning needs over time. Okay, Andrea says, my ex-spouse has a municipal pension. Okay, so likely non-covered. Oh, you're not sure. How can I find out? You say some local governments. Yeah, that's right, Andrea. So what you want to do is you can actually just create a profile at ssa.gov. No, I'm sorry, it's your ex. It's your ex. Okay. I guess what I'm wondering is why is this concerning to you? Is it because you're thinking to file for an ex-spousal benefit? I mean, the best thing to do would just be call Social Security, ask them that you'd like to check on the ex-spousal benefit, set an appointment, and have them look into it for you. Okay, that's probably the best thing to do. Most likely there's nothing available to you if your benefit is of any sizable amount, Andrea. Okay, what if my husband is younger than me, but we have been married for 20 years? Well, it depends on how much younger, but that's okay. You can still do the spousal benefits, widow benefits, all that's available. Okay, Karen says, does my benefit continue to grow if I'm still working after 70? No. Trudy says, can you get back pay on a survivor benefits since I didn't know I could get them? If you're over the age of full retirement age, yes. Otherwise, no. Hi, Trudy. Good evening. Good afternoon to you. Must be on the West Coast. Okay, my husband is on disability. How does this affect the amount I can draw on his? It doesn't affect it at all. It does not affect it. Oh, Anastasia, you give me quite the scenarios. Lots of details. Good stuff. I have a sister with Alzheimer's. She's 68 years old, divorced, was married 20 years, never remarried. She called Social Security. And let's see, okay. She called at 65 to report still working with an excellent employer, medical insurance, became ill on long-term disability with full benefits till November, however, was terminated due to the COVID shutdown, needs Social Security and Medicare. I have helped her file for both this month. Not sure if I made the best choices. Okay, so this is a complicated one, but Social Security disability would likely get her some additional dollars rather than a regular Social Security filing, because Social Security disability is actually your full retirement age amount early. So it would get her a little more to do it that way. Just filing Social Security is only going to give her her age 65 benefit. But if she was on disability, she should, I assume, qualify. What about an expat in another country, specifically taxes? Well, okay, so unfortunately, generally you have to pay taxes overseas and also in the States, but many countries have an agreement. To know what country, it doesn't have an effect, right? So it gets kind of complicated there. There you go. That's probably the best I can do right now. Okay, Sylvia says, I think you referenced the windfall elimination provision. I was provided a statement from my city to complete payroll info for the 2021 commissioner position, and I receive a very small stipend. If I earn realtor commissions in 2021, how would the windfall elimination process affect me? So commissions earned will not affect you with the windfall elimination provision. What would affect you is filing for Social Security and also receiving a non-covered pension. A stipend isn't a pension, so probably it doesn't affect you at all, Sylvia. Okay, Peggy says, are you offering more seminars? I'd like to get my friends to watch this. Yes, yeah, we do these workshops weekly. Send us a message through our Facebook page, and we would love to make sure that you're able to get a link to your friends, or you can share our registration option, okay, something like that. But thank you, Peggy. Appreciate the compliment. Okay, with that, we will wrap up. Again, if you haven't already, go to sendworkbook.com. Request the workbook. Make sure we get that to you. Request the analysis, too, if that would be helpful to you. We'd love to engage with you that way and help you if we can. With that, we'll close up for tonight. Appreciate everyone's questions. Have enjoyed our time together, and we'll talk to you again very soon.